I'm not gonna lie, this is a little bit of an awkward video to be making, and if you read the title, you know exactly why. There's no clickbait there. I want to explain how I came to be sitting among 4 of Chris Coleman's stolen prototype rides. I want to tell the story of how I bought these and then explain why you might be buying one of these stolen cymbals yourself. So backing up a couple of weeks, I was trolling around on Facebook Marketplace, OfferUp, Craigslist, as I often do, looking for good deals on music gear, and I found what looked to be a really good deal. I think the title of the post was 21-inch Meinl cymbal. And to my eye from the photo, it looked very much like it was a transition ride, which is Mike Johnston's signature ride. I have one of those. It's a great ride cymbal, and let's just say that the price was well under market rate. So we're going back and forth on when we're gonna meet later that day, and I noticed from the photos that the logo is irregular, that it says R&D Meinl Germany concept model, which is not terribly uncommon for artists that are prototyping a cymbal with a company. So in any case, I thought it a little bit weird, but I figured for the price that they were asking, a Byzance cymbal had to be worth it regardless of what it was. So we meet up later that day outside my practice room here, and immediately the red flags start popping up. On Facebook, the person's name was Josh, and a woman steps out of the car. And so I say, oh, hey, sorry, I thought I was expecting a Josh. What's your name? She says, oh, my name's Sam. So already that was a little bit weird. She says, Josh is her boyfriend's Facebook account. I think, okay, whatever. Pulls out the cymbal, pulls out this cymbal, in fact, and the moment I pick it up, I know immediately this is not a transition ride. This thing is heavy to the point where, in my mind, it could only be one person's prototype ride. If it's someone's signature ride, that it would have to be Chris Coleman's. Now, you already know where this story is going because of the title, but just bear with me here. Imagine back, when I'm buying these, I have no idea where these cymbals came from. And so I say, hey, how did you come across this cymbal? She says, oh, I got it from a storage room auction, which, again, this may seem super obvious now that you know the end of the story, but again, just imagine in my mind there, I'm not really thinking straight, and it seems somewhat plausible to me. Now, Chris Coleman, in case you've been living under a rock, one of the best drummers in the world, currently plays for Beck, one of my personal absolute favorite drummers. He has a connection in Washington State here, and so it didn't seem completely implausible to me that maybe one of his prototype rides had been sold in the state, or he had given it to someone and it had somehow circulated and ended up in some sort of auction, like she said. So still, the red flags were not quite red enough for me in the moment. In any case, so I'm looking at this ride and I'm thinking, well, shoot, still might be interested in it, even though it wasn't a transition ride that I had expected. And I say, do you have any other drum gear or any other equipment that you're selling as well? She pulls out a cymbal case, and the cymbal case has these 3 other rides in it, all of which I can tell as soon as I pick them up, oh yeah, these are Chris Coleman signature prototype rides. So it seems kind of obvious at this point that something is slightly askew. Very strange that one person who really doesn't seem to be a drummer has 4 very, very specific ride cymbals of a particular caliber. But still in that moment, I'm thinking, okay, for the price she's asking, it's probably better for me to have these rides than her. So I end up buying all 4 of them. So in that moment, I'm still thinking that it's possible there's a legitimate explanation for all of this, and I still don't have confirmation of where these rides came from. So the next morning, I DM Chris Coleman and I say, hey, I just bought 4 ride cymbals, and this might seem crazy, but just from feeling the weight and playing them, they really seem to me like your signature ride. Did you have any prototype rides either go missing, or did you sell any or give any away in Washington State? And you already know where this is going, but just to cut a long story short, he confirms, yes, those were stolen. So my stomach drops, and at that point, I'm kind of in a weird situation, right? You can imagine, this is one of my favorite drummers, and I just bought these cymbals that are absolutely his prototype cymbals. They were stolen from him. I've put some money into buying them. It's just a weird situation. So my first priority and my first instinct, of course, now that I have him, is to tell him hey, okay, so what's the next step here? How do I get these back to you? And his response was that he really just hoped that I would give a statement for the police report. Of course, I'm happy to do, but he didn't want these back. He figured that it would just be more triggering than anything. So he said that I could keep them. So that brings us up to the present, which is me still in kind of a weird situation where I have these rides that I know were stolen, and Chris doesn't want them back. So I think it's okay for me to use them or keep them or sell them or give them away. And so I've been racking my brains to figure out what is the most ethical way to move forward here. And I think I have an answer, which includes you having the chance to buy one of these rides. And I'll detail that in a second. So what I want to do is talk about these cymbals briefly, because despite them being stolen, they're really interesting rides. And then I want to demo them and show you what they sound like, because they do all sound a little bit different. They are unique. And then I want to explain how you will have a chance to buy one of these if you want. So the first one I looked at, which I have affectionately named number 1, is actually very much like a hybrid between a transition ride and a Chris Coleman ride. It has this transition ride sort of like lacquered but unlathed top. It's a very particular sort of finish. It has no holes in it, and then on the bottom, it is sort of an unfinished. I don't think this one is sandblasted, but it almost feels like it could have been sandblasted. So this is the one that I'm calling number 1, and here's what it sounds like. The second one, which I have cleverly named number 2, is totally different. The weight and, of course, the size of the cymbal is the same as the first one, but it has a sandblasted top, and it also has venting holes all around the outside of the cymbal. Really, really cool. And then on the bottom, it sort of has the like highly polished look of the bottom of the transition ride. So it seems like they were sort of taking some inspiration from the transition ride and trying to apply some of those concepts to Chris Coleman's signature. It also says 1 bar on the bottom of the bell. I don't know what that means, but here's what this one sounds like. This one, you guessed it, which we're calling number 3, also has a sandblasted top. It also has the vent holes around the side. This one, in many ways, is very similar to the second one, and it also has a similar, like, almost kind of a gloss to it, but you can see that it is mostly unlathed. So this one says 2 bar on the bottom. I don't know what that means. And it also shows that it is 3,390 grams. This thing's heavy. If you've ever played a Chris Coleman signature ride, you know that these are not very light cymbals. So here's what number 3 sounds like. Last but not least, we have, of course, number 4. This one has a sandblasted top. It also has the vent holes around the side. And then it also appears to have a sandblasted bottom. This one says 3 bar. It also says that it is 3,494 grams. And here's what this one sounds like. So here's what I think I've decided is gonna happen. I'm going to sell all 4 of these rides, and I'm gonna sell them for more than I bought them for. I want them to get in the hands of Chris Coleman fans and people who will play them and appreciate them. And I'm gonna take all of that extra money and donate it to a charity, probably a music education charity of some sort. It only seems right. I don't want to profit off of this situation, but I also want these to go to people who will use them, enjoy them, and will value them and buy them for what they're worth. So all of that extra money is gonna go to charity. I haven't exactly decided how much I'm gonna sell them for or where I'm gonna sell them, so probably by the time this video gets posted, there'll be some links down below. I'll either sell them on Reverb, or probably easier, if you wanna just leave a comment and contact me directly, then we can work out, you know, how much I'm gonna charge for these and shipping them to you and all of that business. So to conclude, I want to acknowledge that I'm not trying to make entertainment or make light out of what's a pretty messed up situation for Chris Coleman in particular. And my hope now, as someone that just by happenstance is sort of in the midst of all of this, my hope is that I can just distribute these and handle these in a way that is ethical and brings something positive to the whole situation. So if you are interested in buying one of these, please let me know in the comments. Hopefully in the description, I should have it figured out where you're gonna buy them, either if it's from me directly or if it's from Reverb or something like that. But yeah, I will try and get these into the hands of people that will appreciate them. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.